So normally I am a DP, I'm a director of photography, but I also direct and shoot my own commercials here in Windsor, Ontario, and I've done stuff in the GTA here in Canada, but I get hired by broadcasters to shoot documentaries, and mainly the documentaries I get hired for are kind of these run and gun, things are happening right now documentaries. But one thing I've been seeing a lot in documentaries that I've been watching on Netflix are these really great documentaries where they weren't there to film everything, so they have to cover it with a lot of archive, interviews, and reenactments. And the way they're shooting these reenactments are really well done. It's in the realm of like high-end Hollywood films and like with really good actors, and they're not these corny reenactments we would see, 10 years ago. So the reenactment part of documentary has been really stepped up, and it's really looking amazing. And I kind of started thinking to myself, that's not something that I do all the time. I don't really know how to do that. So I really kind of want to start dipping my toe in that world so I can be that DP that knows how to shoot reenactments. So right here is that point where I know I'm about to be humbled, because I'm going to have to reach out to other DPs and say, hey, can I come work for you for less money and be your assistant to learn how to do more reenactment style documentary shooting. And this is not easy. Ever since you kind of graduate from school, I didn't graduate from your traditional film school, but I went to a broadcast school. But whenever you start out in this business, you're always trying to get to, I want to be the director, I want to be the DP, I want to be the editor. For me to have to take a step back to learn something new, I knew was necessary, but also I was like, wow, this is going to be hard. It's hard. It's going to be hard to be on set and not be in control of things. So when I got the call from this DP, which was right around the time when I was thinking about dipping my toe into the reenactment side of documentary, I was really excited because this guy has done lots of reenactment stuff, but he's also done the run and gun style type of shooting that I've done, so I can relate to him. But he's been in the business for over 30 years. He's traveled to every country you can imagine multiple times. He's worked with every broadcaster you can imagine. So it's a real seasoned veteran. And he called me and he's like, hey, are you free to do these next 7 days of shooting with me? We had 2 shoots in Toronto for some reenactment type shooting, and then we had some super stylized interviews to shoot in Buffalo, New York. And he was like, how are you free to do this? My normal guy can't do it. I got your name from this director, and he said, you're really awesome. He's like, are you willing to come be my assistant? And I said, 100%. And right away when I agreed to do it, I was like, okay, Sasha, you're taking a step back. You're gonna learn some new lessons here, and you're not gonna be in control of things. So it's time to keep your ears open, your eyes open, and really pay attention, because this isn't your normal world. You guys are probably wondering, Sasha, you're already DPing. Why are you assisting? And I think that if you don't know how to do something in the industry, you're either going to go out and try and do it yourself, or you're going to learn from somebody else. And I think it's always great to push yourself and test yourself, especially with things that you don't know, because in this industry, things change every year. New equipment, new ways of filming, new styles. And if you're not kind of keeping your foot in that door of always learning new things, you're going to fall behind, and you're going to kind of fade away, I think, into the old ways of doing things. So I always want to stay fresh and creative, and the way I do that is by throwing myself in situations that I don't really understand. So being an AC for this DP was going to give me a chance to do that. So there was basically 3 things on this set that I really wasn't familiar with. I had really never been a proper assistant camera, an AC, to a DP. I've never really done that. I've only been on a few drama sets or scripted content where I was a production assistant and I saw what the AC was doing and stuff like that. And honestly, I didn't know what was going on. So this was my kind of like crash course, baptism by fire type situation. When I got on set for the first time, we had another assistant who was under me, which frankly, he should have been the first AC, the first assistant camera, and I should have been the second, because I really didn't know what I was doing. He came prepared with tape and a slate and markers and tools, and I didn't come with any of that stuff because I didn't really think I needed that stuff, because normally when I was assisting other DP/directors for documentary, it's basically just carrying their equipment, their lenses, their tripods, and making sure that you're helping them carry gear. So I really wasn't prepared for all of those types of things, but I learned really quick. And the guy who was working under me as the assistant was really kind, and he was explaining things to me and showing me things. And I kind of explained to him that I've never really done this kind of thing before. I know what I'm doing. I just don't understand that whole slate, tape, markers, and that kind of thing world as an AC. So I was really excited to kind of learn how to use a slate, which was really humbling. And I know it's kind of funny, I don't know how to use a slate, but we just don't use them in standard documentary. A slate and clapping your hands to mark the sound or the scene really pulls people out in documentary, especially if you're shooting run and gun. You don't want to be slating everything. It just doesn't make sense. You just use time code and time code sync boxes. So the slate was a really new thing for me, but we had to slate because this was the portion of the documentary that was, we're staging things, we have actors, and we need to know what we're actually doing for the reenactments. So it was important that you mark everything. So that was the first lesson, learning how to use the slate. The second thing I had to learn how to use was his cameras. The DP was shooting with the FX9 and the FX6, and I heard lots about these cameras. I have watched videos on them, but I didn't really know how to even format a card or change the clip dates or names. So that was something that I immediately, when I found out we were using those cameras, I went online and I looked up how to format a card, how to change the clip dates. I went into the manual for both those cameras, and I basically copy and pasted that information into a little folder on my laptop. So when I was on set, I knew exactly what I was doing when it came to formatting cards and changing clip dates and clip names, and making sure that I knew exactly what I was doing with that camera as best as possible as an assistant camera. So that was the second thing. And then the third thing I had to learn was Shotput Pro. And I'd never used this before. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically a program that automatically backs up your footage from your SD cards or your CFast cards, whatever cards you're using, to your hard drive on your laptop. And a lot of productions are using this now because they kind of give you a guarantee that they're not going to mess up your footage, that it's automatically going to transfer, dated properly, numbered properly, all in the right spot, and it's going to do it automatically for you. And I think a lot of production companies are using this because of insurance reasons. They want to have insurance on their footage. I don't really understand how that works, honestly, so I'm not going to talk too much more about that. Learning Shotput Pro was really humbling because I was on set on the Buffalo shoot, trying to back up the footage on the day of, and I never used it before. So I had, though, watched some tutorials on Shotput Pro, which really helped, but I still had to have the DP, who's like in his 60s, and he is having to explain to me how to use Shotput Pro, which was hilarious. He was kind of making fun of me that, I can't believe I'm teaching a millennial how to use a computer program. So that was humbling, and we all had a good laugh about that I didn't know what I was doing. But I learned really quickly, and like I said, putting yourself into a corner like that where you don't really know what you're doing, but making sure that you've looked up tutorials, you've watched videos, you've looked at manuals, preparing yourself, but still not knowing exactly what to do. As long as you're willing to prepare yourself for a situation that you don't really understand, like the one that I was in as an assistant camera here over the last 7 days, you're gonna do great. If you pay attention, keep your ears open, your eyes open, do some research on the stuff you don't understand, and then ask lots of questions. And don't be afraid to say, I don't really know what that is. That's actually the fourth thing I didn't really understand. This DP was using a lot of terms and for equipment or tape or cinefoil that I didn't really know. I've never heard these nicknames for things, but these are things that people use on set all the time. They have nicknames for all sorts of gear, and I didn't really know what it was called. So I was constantly like, what's that? Or what do you mean when you say that? Or, oh, okay, that's a pony is a clip. And I'm like, I don't know why they call it a pony, but yeah, whatever. And so there was so many lessons I was constantly learning, and I was always on my toes, and it was really stressful, but ultimately I feel like I've come away from that with way more experience and understanding a little bit more on what it takes to do that different type of documentary shooting, and more on-set knowledge in terms of kind of how you would film a drama or some scripted content. So overall, it's a really good experience. And also, I proved to that production company that I was capable of learning new things very fast. And I did a really good job, and everyone was really happy with me, and they're gonna hire me again. So I don't want to keep getting hired as an assistant camera. That's not my goal. And I even told the DP, like, my goal is not to be a professional AC. I want to be a DP, and that's mainly what I do. But I really want to learn from other people in the business, and I was really excited to learn from you. And we had some great dinners together and conversations and talked about the business. And, you know, it was really valuable to listen to all of his stories and traveling and all the lessons he's learned, and how that it never gets easier. He said, you know, he's almost 60. He'll be 60 this year, and he's been in this business for over 30 years. And he said, you know, it never gets easy. You always got to stay on your toes. You always got to be learning. And the day you stop learning is the day your career is over, essentially. So I think if there's one thing to take away from this video is try to put yourself in situations where you're learning. If you're always in a situation where you know everything, the moment something unpredictable happens and you don't know you don't know how to do something, you're gonna be in a panic mode, and you're not practiced in that. So don't be afraid to learn new things, to take a step back and learn a new way of shooting something, a new way of helping somebody shoot something. And don't be afraid to humble yourself. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for commenting. And thank you to those who subscribe. I really appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next video.